Yeah. Hi guys, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So who do we have over here today? Guys, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
And can you open this file as well? The one that I've shared with you. Okay. So hi Prabhanjan. Hi Grivan.
Good
Good
evening.
morning, evening to both of you. Good
Hi.
afternoon, I guess, for hi, right? And yeah, good evening, Prabhanjan. Okay, so guys, could you please just update me about what exactly you're doing right now? Have you started going through lectures that I updated, means uploaded on Drive related to perception? Did you get a time to do that?
Yes, Mario. I shared that MOI packages with you, and I'm going
Okay.
through the lectures right now.
Okay, that's nice. What lecture you are right now?
I completed till 9th lecture. After that, I'm picking some random lectures. Yesterday, I was watching 14th.
Okay. Do you find those lectures useful or like or what? Any feedback on that?
Yes, I watched. After watching those lectures, it's like I have to do some more works to understand the things better.
Okay, just to get clarity about particular concept. That's something
Yes.
you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying like I need to be more clear on what exactly I'm dealing with. Okay, that's there means for perception means during those lectures I try to cover something from the basic, but yeah, there is something there are some topics which I should have given like more
Mm.
weightage, or like I should have like focused more or more emphasize on. So that's something I missed. Yeah, but yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's nice, like if you do some research it would definitely eventually help you only. We put some effort, because when you study by yourself then only you will like means grab those concepts or like grab the thing more easily, right?
Yes.
So currently what we have done so far, okay, so if you are following this thing properly, then what we have accomplished so far is like you guys have like got yourself comfortable with these environments like MATLAB, Simulink, Stateflow. If you have completed MIY package, then you must be like having some sort of like means compatibility with these softwares right now. Then you have handled like this Colab environment. We have also conducted a few lectures on that PyTorch thing, so you know how to deal with deep neural networks. Okay. And then we started with like self-driving car stuff. Okay, so currently we are on perception module, right? So if you go through those lectures from like 9 onward, then that's something covers that part only. Okay, and there were some lectures on control system as well. Okay, so if you have done that part, then that covers like basic of control system, and then you have lecture on perception, so that will cover theory that you need to develop perception module. And side by side we are also doing tutorials on ROS, then related to LiDAR, then last two tutorials related to like PyTorch only, and the current one will also be related to that one only. But in today's lecture what I want to do is like I want to combine PyTorch and LiDAR segmentation, I mean these two things together. Okay, so that's something we will do today. And for next two lectures, probably I'll conduct them on ROS, or if not, then I'll cover that Kalman filter and Bayes filter part. Okay, so I have shared those two tutorials with you. Okay, and basically that's like the next step. Okay, so once you are done with perception module, the next step that you should be taking it is like to study state estimation and localization part of it. So Bayes filter and then Kalman filter and then studying particle filter should be like next step in your journey. Okay. So that's something we'll be covering in those tutorials, and I will also upload lecture related to that thing with you. Okay, and towards the end of this week, probably on Friday, you will have like one lecture. That's something Ruben will conduct, so where he will like talk about various sensor model, motion models, and like some basic stuff that one need to know about motion models. So that's something he will due on this Friday. But yeah, that's all. And then we will go further, and we will have lecture related to planning part, and then related to control part. And simultaneously, we will also work on our project related to that ELK. So that is gonna be our guided project for this time. Okay. So I guess I shared that Yamava package part or kind of guided thing with you yesterday. Okay. So I'm expecting, or I want you guys to like start working on that thing. Okay. Whenever you get time. Okay. Probably on weekends or whenever you get time, start working on that thing. So that's like lane keep assist system. Okay. And then I will cover few more things in next like 2-3 weeks related to CSML concept and then ML testing. Okay, so let it be like a LK part or let it be any feature development. If we cover like means if we put that thing into this framework, then that will like complete this MBD pipeline. Okay, using a V diagram. Yeah, and then you guys will work on individual project. I guess I shared something with yeah, Varun and Drupad yesterday or day before that related to planning algorithm. Okay, so actually we were working on that local planner part. Okay, so we have like some part developed uh, by some other team. Okay, so what I'm wanting those two guys to do is like to work on that thing and take that thing forward. Okay, so we have developed a pipeline which takes in data from Sinar Reader, convert that data from Cartesian system to Freenet coordinate system. Then it means solves quintic polynomials to develop trajectories for various maneuvers. Then again take that data from Freenet coordinate system to Cartesian coordinate system, and then check for various things like whether collision is happening or not, whether comfort thing is being checked and like keep it under control or not. So there are various things that will be checked. And then once we develop that path profile, next thing that we need to do is we need to develop velocity profile. So what I want those two guys to do is like to like means first of all resolve some issues related to that Freenet to Cartesian conversion, and then like combine this path planner and velocity profile generation part together. So yeah, so that will be their project. But if somebody wants to work on that thing, they can like contact them and they can get started with that project. Okay, so probably you can work on that as your individual project, or probably you can choose something else as your individual project. And apart from that, second thing that I'm working at my end is like deep reinforcement learning. So currently I'm working on one project related to stability control using reinforcement learning. Okay, so I'm using deep deterministic policy gradient agent to like achieve the stability control part. Okay, so I have configured that DDPG agent in MATLAB environment only, uh, and then using model-based design methodology, I'm trying to achieve that stability control thing. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do over there is we need to like work on objective function to achieve stability control. Okay, I have like model of environment ready with me. Okay, for like that stability control problem. I have like DDPG agent ready with me. The only thing that we need to work on is like this thing, the objective function thing. How exactly you will achieve this stability control part. Okay, because when you want to achieve particular goal, then to guide your agent to reach that goal, you need some sort of objective function, right? So that's something you will need. So I want you guys, if anyone is interested, just let me know. I'll share that detail with them, and probably you can get started with that stuff. And means if we succeed, then we would have something to publish in that segment. If someone is interested, please let me know. Okay, so yeah, we've been talking a lot. I guess everyone is here. Hi Apurva. Hi Varun. Good
Hello, sir.
morning.
How you doing?
Yeah, can you hear me, guys? Apurva.
Yeah, I can hear you. A couple of minutes ago, you were cutting in and out, but I can hear you now.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so do you have this file with you? Hello. Hello.
We can hear you.
Okay, so today what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on, or we will write algorithm for point name. Okay. So, but before going there is something that I want to cover. Okay. So thing is that in case of the autonomous vehicle, we use various kind of sensor, right? So we use camera, we use lidars, we use radars, and we also use ultrasonic sensor. So thing is that environment is something maybe like constant in all the situation. but the way sensor is perceiving that environment is totally different. Okay, and that's the reason the pre-processing step that needs to be followed will be like different for each of them, each of those sensors. Okay, so whenever we are talking about camera, so in that case we will get that RGB image or probably RGB D image, and then we will develop that perception pipeline. Maybe we will do object detection using YOLO, or we will do that tracking thing, or we will do segmentation thing, or we will do depth map estimation thing, or we will do optical flow thing. So that's something we will operate on images. So that's a totally different paradigm. When it comes to radar, then again the signatures and everything will be totally different. We need to take that thing from time domain. We need to apply fast Fourier transforms. We need to get the Doppler maps and everything, and then we need to get that signatures. Okay. So, and we need to get that range map. So that's about radar. When it comes to LiDAR, in case of the LiDAR, this thing is totally different. Okay. So in case of the LiDAR, what happens? So in case of the LiDAR, we have transmitter and we have receiver. Okay. And we have like various versions of this LiDAR, probably the one where we have like this laser is something which is being rotated using some sort of like mechanical base, and means that's how it covers like 360 thing. Means it covers like 360-degree view of environment, or in some situation it's steady and it just covered like forward thing. Means it just covered like forward direction of that of like ego vehicle. Okay, so that's all about LiDAR sensor. Okay, probably I want to draw something on whiteboard. Okay, Prabhanjan, I'll use that. I mean, I try to use that dashboard or whiteboard that you shared with me, but yeah, means I couldn't figure out that thing, like how to use it. But okay, I'll put
Okay.
some like more efforts and I'll try to understand how exactly to use that. But from next time, for this time, we will just use this dashboard. Okay. So in case of the LiDAR sensor, as I told you, few minutes back, so we will have like some sort of so we will have like this sort of device with us, and it has like transmitter over here. Okay, so we will have like means this lasers means this light waves coming from bottom, and then you have like mechanical device over here, and that something will rotate, and that something will like send light wave outward. Okay, sorry for tragedy. Okay, so that's the transmitter. It will collide with some object in the environment, and it will move back to uh, our receiver end. Okay, and based on this time of flight, we can measure distance of this object, maybe anything. Okay, could be anything. We could measure distance of this object from our sensor or LiDAR, and we could like locate its XYZ position. Okay, probably in the sensor's coordinate system. Okay. And so what happens in case of the lasers, means in case of the LiDARs, we just don't use one laser. Okay, so we use like certain, means like we use array of lasers. Okay, so it could be like 4, it could be like 16, it could be 32, or it could be 64, or it could be 128. Okay, if you increase number of lasers in that array, you would have like a better resolution at the output. So that's the LiDAR data. And so you get like this signature and you get this 1 point. Okay, and when you do this for like 360-degree, or when you do that thing using like multiple lasers, the thing or the data that you get, so it's like bunch of points. Okay, and that's something we call as a point cloud in case of the LiDAR. Okay, and that's how we get data in case of the LiDAR. Okay, the data that we receive in case of LiDAR means let we call this as like point cloud. It's just the one way to represent 3D data. Okay, so basically there are like two ways in which like 3D data can be represented. So if I have to put them in a broad category, then there are two categories, like Euclidean representation, Euclidean structured data, and non-Euclidean structured data. Okay, so everything like if you are taking like multiple RGB view images, that means that something can be used to like represent 3D world. Okay, but that is the Euclidean structured data thing. If we use like keyword and some sort of descriptor like SIP or like something different, or something like that, then that's the again Euclidean structured data. Okay, so first is like this multiple RGB images view. So that using that we can represent 3D world. Second thing is we can use descriptor to represent 3D world. We can identify keywords in the world, distinct point in the world, and we can use descriptors to like store the information around that particular keyword. So that's like, that could be like second way to like store this 3D world data, and that's like Euclidean form only. Then third thing could be like we can use projection to represent this 3D world. Then fourth thing could be using this point cloud. Okay, sorry, not point cloud. So volumetric data. So using what means voxels and octree. So using that we can represent this 3D world. Okay, so in case of the voxel, what we generally do, let me show you. Yeah, so yeah, this is something I was talking about. So this is like volumetry, and then this is like voxel representation to represent 3D world. Okay, so basically what you do, you take 3D world and you divide it into like small cubes. Okay, and each of that cube is something you call voxel. Okay, and what you generally do whenever you have to like represent 3D world, you just like mention whether that particular voxel is being occupied or not. Okay, so that's the voxel representation. Then there is octree thing, same thing again. Okay, that's like volumetric representation. Then there is like RGB D thing. Okay, so you could have like, you could represent this word using this thing, means using RGB channels, as well as adding like depth information to each of that pixel. You could like represent this 3D world, and using 3D reconstruction you can create like 3D world out of it. Okay, so this is like Euclidean representation, and using that you can represent 3D world. Then there is a non-Euclidean representation. Okay, so in case of non-Euclidean representation, means if you see like we have like something like systematic thing going on over here. Okay, but in case of this thing, we really don't have like systematic pattern to handle this data. Okay, so like in case of the multi RGB cameras, you can convert it into arrays. Same thing goes for volumetric arrays. Same thing, same thing goes for projection. Same thing goes for descriptors. Same thing goes for voxels and octree. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, you can like represent this means if you have to represent 3D world, you can do that thing in systematic manner in case of like Euclidean structured data. Okay, but when you go into go on like another side of this means representation, then you have like non-Euclidean structured data, and then here you have like this point cloud. Okay, you really don't have any sort of like means systematic representation for that thing. Okay, you really don't have like means whenever I'm saying like systematic representation, that means like I'm saying there is no way to like relate one point to another, or like one value to another value in this inside that representation. Okay, so let it be point clouds, let it be graphs, or let it be meshes. Okay, so these are like non-Euclidean representation. Okay, so today we just gonna think about point clouds. Okay, because that's something we'll get out of lidars. Okay, so when we get point cloud, then there is the next question, like how to represent, means how to save them. Okay, so there are like two categories. Okay, you can save that thing in like ASCII format, and you can just have like their XYZ means for each point, you means for all the points you will have their like numbers over there, their indexes over there, and then you will have like their XYZ position in the environment. Okay, so that's like one representation using in ASCII format. And yeah, so that's something, so that's the ASCII format thing. Then you will have like this binary representation. Okay, using binary thing, and that will be probably in terms of like PCD. Okay, point cloud, this extension will be like .pcd, and then you will combine these two things together, and then you will have like something different, and that's like PLY extension. So there you will combine these two things together. The thing about ASCII format is that like that data is something you can like read, whereas in case of like binary thing, you cannot read that data using text editor. So that's about representation, and that's how we generally store point cloud. Okay, once we get that point cloud and like once we understand how to save them, next thing is like we want to visualize them, and then we want to take something, means we want to do pre-processing on that lidar point cloud. Okay, so that thing can be done using two ways. Okay, so first is like Neve approach. That's something I explained like tutorial 2. Okay, so first of all you do pre-processing. Pre-processing means like this entire thing, like how to do visualization using Open3D library and all that stuff. And then you do downsampling. Okay, voxel downsampling, so you just like restrict number of points inside that particular voxel. And so like you just remove means like few points from that point cloud, so that it would be easier for your means system to handle that processing stuff. So that's like Oxel downsampling. Then what you do is you do like outlier detection. So and the algorithm that we use for that purpose is like RANSAC, random sampling and consensus algorithm. So that algorithm is something which will like segment data, which is, and like it separate all those points which are part of a road and all those points which are not part of a road in like two different distinct beans. And that's how we get idea about like which points are part of a road and which are not part of road. Okay, so that's how we get idea about the point which are not part of road, and like that's something we will use in next stage for clustering purpose. Okay, so clustering thing can be done using DBSCAN algorithm, or it can be done using KNN algorithm. Okay, so that's something I've explained that thing in like tutorial 2. So it's simple, it's not that hard. Okay, and then once we are, so in case of the clustering, what we generally do, we just take that data which is not part of road, all those points which are not part of road, and then we put that apply clustering algorithm on top of that, and that's something cluster all the points into like suitable or like convenient beans. And then we can correlate that each of that bean to like vehicle or like obstacle present in the environment. Okay, so that's how we get idea about all those vehicles, and like that's how we do obstacle detection using LiDAR data. Okay, or like once we have LiDAR data. But thing is that we will not have understanding about orientation of those obstacles. Okay, and to do that thing, we run like principal component analysis for each of that point. So what it does is like basically it understand it move that thing into like canonical space. Okay, if it's like three-dimensional data, it moves to like high dimensional space and try to find the principal component inside that data, and that's how we get idea about orientation. So that's the naive approach. Okay, so that is the naive approach, and that's how we get idea about obstacle detection and so if you recently I added all of you to that another group, robotic systems and autonomous robotics and autonomous systems group. If you check that profile picture, so that's basically output from that entire pipeline. Okay, so that thing is something we should like run in Jupyter notebook. If we run that thing over there, then we would have like this sort of output. But that's the naive approach. Okay, but there are some pitfalls or like some drawbacks of that approach. Thing is that downsampling that we are doing over there, so that's not like a robust way to handle that data. Okay, we might like skip some important point or some important feature. Then second thing is about outlier detection. Again, that thing is not handled properly. Then clustering thing is something just will do detection thing, it will not do classification. Okay, means you will just understand there is something, there is some obstacle, but you won't be able to understand whether that obstacle is car or like truck or like person. So that's something you will not be able to do using that nerve approach. Okay, means using like DBSCAN algorithm or using k nearest neighbor algorithm. Okay, so you won't be able to do that thing. And even if you principal component analysis, that's something that is a different story. But these are the drawbacks. And thing is that if you use that Navis pipeline, then that pipeline runs too slow. Okay, and that's something is not good for real-time application. Okay, and that's the reason what we need is what we need to handle this LiDAR data. We need learn approaches. Okay, so there is like some algorithm. So you guys know like there is a deep neural networks and like convolutional neural networks, and means this 3D means 2D deep learning thing is something you guys are all aware about. Okay, so what guys have done is like they have use same thing but for like 3D data. Okay, so they have used 3D convolutional neural networks, and that's how they are like dealing with this 3D data, and they are doing this classification and segmentation and all that stuff. Okay, so there are various algorithms which are being implemented like by different companies. And so the first one which came into existence, or which was developed first, was like this algorithm, PointNet algorithm. Okay, so I guess I shared that paper with you, but I'm not sure whether I've shared that with you or not. Okay, but basically what we have in case of the PointNet algorithm is this thing. Let me erase. So thing is that PointNet is something you will find over there. There are some issues with PointNet to handle that thing. So in case of the PointNet, you have like invariance to like shape and order, then you have invariance to rotation translation, then you need to be sensitive to like global and local structures. Okay, so that sort of thing you need to think about when you are like handling like this 3D or when you are doing 3D deep learning or when you are doing like learn approach for this purpose. But thing is that if you do like PointNet thing over here, then you will realize like this PointNet is not suitable when it comes to like local structures. means it won't be means it is not that sensitive to local structures, and to attain that sort of sensitivity, they are using like sampling thing over here, and that's basically like point net plus plus algorithm. But again, that sampling thing is again not that suitable, okay, because there are various ways to do that sampling, okay. So means you can like farthest point approximation algorithm is there, okay. And so then you have like this random sampling, and there is one more algorithm, okay. So there are various ways to do that sampling. So if you go by like a traditional approach, then it takes too long and it's not that suitable, okay. But yeah, thing is that with that sampling thing, your algorithm would be like sensitive to like local structure. But again, it's not that robust, okay. You will not have like real-time speed, and that's the reason people are using like recently, if you have read paper about RANDLANET, so that paper is something used like that state-of-the-art algorithm, and do that random sampling, and that's give like accuracy close to like means really good accuracy and execution at like real time, okay. So that's RANDLANET paper is something like came last year only, and that's from like if I'm not mistaken, that's from Cambridge. So is there any question until this point? If not, then probably we will like discuss architecture of point net. Hello.
Just one quick doubt. When you scan with the LiDAR, the rotational LiDAR, you happen to catch a lot of things like such as pedestrians walking, or you might bump into some bird or some kind of foreign objects like that are unwanted. How do you clear them when you are going to use them for the real time, for the application that you need?
How to clear them? Okay. So thing
Yes.
is that, so we will scan our environment using LiDAR. We will capture that data in terms of point cloud, and then we will run these algorithms, okay. And these algorithms is something we'll classify them as like pedestrian or cars, or means whether this is like something useful or not. And but apart from that, there are like a lot of unwanted means detection will be there, like so if there is a dust in the environment, that something will also give reflection, and that will be there, okay. Then if there is like, if there is a raining, means if there is a rain, then that something will create noise, okay. If there is a moisture in the environment or fog, then it will again create like some sort of issue. So those sort of thing will be there, and to handle that thing, so there are some algorithms which are being used, okay. So if, there is one company called Sensible 4, okay. So if you go over there and if you check, then you will find like they are using some like novel algorithms to handle that thing, okay. So they are just identifying, means whenever they are training these algorithms, they are making sure that like this noise is something being handled, okay. So that will not like hinder their further inferences.
Okay, so you guys don't clear them before you have to use them, because when I used to work, I had to use Roadrunner for one of my applications in MATLAB, and that time we tried to use real-time data, but we couldn't use it because of all the disturbances, and it took a lot of time for us to clear up all the pedestrians and the unwanted things. And we also had some interference with the roads as well. Like the clearance was not, the accuracy was not perfect. So in that case, like, do you try to work with them or ignore them in the code, or do you just like try to consider them in the code as well, like in the environment as well? Like, do you
No,
leave
we
anything?
consider. Okay, so like we just need to understand whether that data is something important to us or not, okay. So, and we will just means, okay, so if we are using like 3D deep learning algorithm, like let's say we are using point net, so it will just detect those geometries which are useful for us, okay. And like other geometries, then we won't be able to like recognize them, and we will like neglect them, or we will ignore them simply, okay. But you need to use like these sort of algorithms. It depends on like means what sort of classes you are considering for that algorithm, okay. So in our case, like if, we are using like 16 classes today, aeroplane and all that stuff, but that's something you need to decide when you are training that algorithm, okay. Point net or point net plus.
In
So if you are
case
like
if we
considering
bump into something that is out of the class, like does the code, like does the program ignore it, or do we get bump into some kind of error?
okay, so if we run into something which is means which we
Unidentified.
haven't seen so far, then we won't be able to like recognize that.
Okay.
Whether that's like means whether we should be concerned about that thing or not, that's something we would be able to decide. Okay, that
Okay.
thing need to be like encoded earlier, or that we need to have like some data on that thing earlier. Okay, with us when we are training that network.
Okay.
Unless means without that we won't be able to like do anything, or we won't be able to like detect that thing over there. Okay, our algorithm will not tell us that thing.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so in case of the point net, okay, so first of all, let me tell you what exactly is happening. Okay, so as I told you earlier, so in case of the point net, let's say we are just using like Cartesian coordinate system, and we are representing like so we have like one point over here, we have another point over here, we have another point over here, okay, and we have one point over here, okay. So basically, this is like means I'm just considering like one part of that point cloud. So the first problem that we generally get in case of like means the thing or the invariance that we need in case of the point net means the reason we are using point net architecture, because it provides invariance to order and shape. Okay, so thing is that if I number this thing as like one, if I number this point as a one, this as a two, I number this as like 3, and if I number this as a 4, and if I use like 3D kernel, okay, so like that 3D box, okay, so if I use a 3D box, okay, so if we use like this 3D kernel on this top of this data, then like our this kernel, what this kernel will think like when we are setting these weights, then this will think like if this point is, and if we like let's say this is these 4 points are there in point cloud, and this point cloud belongs to car. Okay, so class for this point cloud is car. Okay, so this is for car. So and when we are training this thing using like a 3D deep learning algorithm, and if we are using this kernel one means 3D kernel, okay, but yeah, one dimensional kernel, sorry, 3D means 3D kernel, if you are using like this sort of kernel over there, and if you are saying like this point cloud belongs to this car class, then what it will remember is like if point one is here, point two is here, point three is here, and point four is there, then we will consider it as a car. Okay, if I change this sequence, if I instead of this means if I change this 2 to 3 and this 3 to 2, then our algorithm won't be able to recognize this thing as a car. Okay, means it means all depend on how exactly we are feeding this data into this kernel. Okay, you're getting my point. So our algorithm is not like immune to the order in which we are feeding this data into this kernel. Okay, so you know that day I talk about like there will be like input layer. So there will be input layer, and then there will be hidden layers, and then there will be output layers where you will get classes. Okay, means whether it's car or bike or pedestrian. Okay, so that's something you will get over here. That is the output layer, that is the hidden layer, and then this is the input layer. So you have all these points listed over here inside this input layer, and that's something will be like then passing to this deep neural network. But if what I'm saying is like if order of this like point cloud is like 1 2 3 4, okay, so you're gonna train this thing with like multiple point clouds, right? Means like for one set it's like this order, for another set these two will be like interchange with like three, and like three will have like two. Okay, this sort of structure will be there. Okay, so what I'm trying to say, if we change this order, then our algorithm won't be able to like understand that thing. Okay, so it's not invariant to that thing. Okay, so we need to do something. So first problem with point clouds is like So order is some issue. Okay, the order in which we are feeding this thing into neural network. Then second thing is about shape. Okay, so means this thing means even if we use like same order, different shape mean different thing. Okay, so our algorithm need to be invariant to shape and order. Okay, so that's the first thing. Our algorithm need to be invariant to order and shape. So that's the first thing. Then second thing is about, so this is about order and shape, but let's say this is like just simple thing. Okay, so now look at this, like this cube. Okay, so when we are observing this cube, and when this orientation is like this, we will have like one means we will have certain point with us. Okay, but if we change this orientation, if we like change, I mean if we turn this box to left, or if we turn this cube to left or right, this orientation will change, right? And like the way in which these points are like order and like loop will change, right? So that thing is also need to consider when we are like developing deep neural network. Our network need to be like invariant to that as well. So that's the second thing, and that's like second issue when we have to solve this point cloud problem for classification using 3D deep learning. Okay, so it needs to be invariant to order and shape, and it also need to be invariant to rotation and translation of point cloud, rotation and translation of point cloud. Guys, are you getting this point, or am I missing?
Yes, I'm following.
So probably, can you see my screen, or you are still seeing that whiteboard?
I can see the screen. Oh no, I can see the whiteboard, not the screen.
Okay. So I was talking about this thing, like, so let's say this is like 3D representation, and if like if we are like representing this like human, but if it's in like different order and different shape, then like our algorithm will like perceive it as a different thing. So that's the first thing. Then invariance to rotation and translation. If this person is looking towards us, then orientation will means all these point will look different. If this person turn to left or right, this entire orientation will like change, and our algorithm might not be able to detect this as a person. So it need to be like invariant to rotation and translation as well. And then third thing is about sensitivity to local structure. Okay, if you look at like clustering of algorithm, I mean those points near this shoulder or like their this joints, then it's totally different, right? Means they will have some sort of correlation over there. So it needs to be like sensitive to that local structures. Okay, so if I have to like show that thing you on this whiteboard, then when we are talking about sphere, then you need to capture this thing. Okay, if you are talking about triangle, then you should be like able to capture these local features. Okay, like this thing, these corner vertices. Okay, what I say is something you need to capture. What I'm trying to say is like whenever you are looking at bigger picture, you also need to like look for like smaller details in that. Okay, so your algorithm need to be sensitive to local structures and like geometry. So that is the third thing that we need to be careful about. Sensitivity to local structure and geometry. Okay. So these are the three things that our algorithm need to have. Then only we can use 3D deep learning to handle point cloud, and we could do like classification, segmentation, and all that stuff that we do for like image.